Okay, we are live, huh, Raja?
Yes, yes.
So, okay, good evening, namaskar, and welcome back to Decoding Realpolitik for its weekly live discussion. So, today I have with me Rahul and Raja to discuss the G7, India, and its relevance. So, before coming to the discussions, I just want to tell the viewers, those who don't
Class.
know what is G7. G7 is a group of seven. It is an intergovernmental political and economic forum consisting of seven countries: Canada, France, Germany, Italy, Japan, and the United Kingdom and United States of America. So Russia has been a formal member as part of G8. It was sometime back called G8 from 1997 until its expulsion in 2014 when Russia captured Crimea. Right, that time Russia was removed from this group, and the group then back to its same name G7. So. So it was found. This group is found in 1975, and the context was that the forum was the major industrialized economies are in a reaction to the oil crisis at that point of time, and and then this group these countries come together and forum or this group. So these countries are essentially European countries, and they are leading economies at a point of time, but not now. Even though two or three countries still they are largest economy. For example, USA, Germany, even Japan. Just we crossed Japan just few months, just last month or last 2 or 1 month, right? We crossed Japan in terms of economy, and this group is actually every year they have their summit, and representatives of other states and international organizations are often invited as guests. So India has been one of the regular invitee to its annual summit, and this time also India uh, as an invitee or as a guest. So our Prime Minister is visiting Canada to attend this summit from today, 15 to 17, right? So so today, in these discussions, we will focus on the relevance of G7 from India's vantage point than the present host country. Actually, this time, G7's 51st summit, I think. Yes, yes. So this time, Canada hosting this summit, and we also try to focus India-Canada relations. And before I hand over this forum to Raja and Rahul, I just want to make one thing. Would like to say one thing that today's discussions will be general in nature, right? And might not be 1 hour long. So if the viewers have any questions or observations, please type in the chat box, and so that we can cut our uh, lecture or our discussions short, and take the questions and make it more engaging and more uh, interactive. Thank you, Raja and Rahul. So you may proceed your with your insights, please. Raja, can you hear me? Rahul, please unmute first yourself. Hello, no, Rahul, you are not audible. Hello.
Can
No,
you
no,
hear
no.
me?
Yes, yes. Now you are audible. Okay,
Because I
start.
having this voice problem. That's why I had to join with another this phone app. Anyway, thank you so much for having me here. Before going to give my insights, yes, of course, Raja has also something, but yes, whatever you have highlighted the background of G7, it's very relevant as per this present contemporary situation. Before going to analyze the things, yes, we have to know the background. Anyway, I just wanted to focus on the issue like how India is playing a role as a bridger or key player to bridge both the pole of global south as well as global this what we call the first world or north, right? So here if you'll go with this membership of this G7, then you'll get no country from this third world or global south. It's actually the founding member or you are a member of this G7. However, it was earlier it was a G8, but right now it is G7. So my point here that okay, India among these all the seven countries who are right now the member of this G7, exception for this America, all the countries' economy as compared to India is heading towards backyard comparing to India, right? So this is the first observation that we can relocate that India is no more can we call as a uh, 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 the only the voice of a global south, right? But yes, his long-term aspirations to become a Vishwa Guru or visual leader, not only in terms of this polity or the other things per se, but in economy also, which is the backbone. I can say I can consider this is the backbone of all aspects of this statecraft. So yes, India is right now playing a very significant role as far as this G7 or your other economic platforms like your SEO or your other platforms are concerned, and their implications of course we can see experts have already been experienced whether it is in global south or in Saudi Arabia or your Asian continent at all, right? So these points if we will highlight, then this will be a very fruitful discussions. Apart from this, yes, we can say that here this from this G7 India can also take forward many uh, many things which right now is opportunity for India. They like uh, FDI or your other this FTA or your other this engagement or your agreements. This also have sort of these linkages with this G7 uh, this platform, right? So these are the points where scholars or your experts needs to highlight more, and I believe in today's discussions we can, if we'll highlight these points, then that would be a fruitful discussion. Over to Raja, whatever Raja having got.
Okay, I think the topic that itself is a very important, as we can say, because as the next summit, the G7 summit is going to held from the June 15. So a gradual or deeper understanding of what kind of impact or what kind of influence that can be brought upon through this summit, and what kind of the relation that India and the G17 countries have. So I think as Apurva and Rahul have told different things about this thing, what we're going to discuss about these things. I think I'll just say that other than the India's relation with other countries, this relation is not only about the relation with other countries. It's not only about the economic relation. It's more about that. It's also about the we can say realignment with the relation with the Canada. As we know that India's relation with the Canada have been we can say impacted very significantly after 2023. That is the Khalistani's issue, the killing of the Khalistani leader. After that, the India and Canada's relation have been significantly, we can say, impacted. So this G17 relation that India have been, we can say, which India being a observant country have been always been a remain an important, we can say, partner of this group, despite being a observer country, because of the, we can say, the India is the largest democratic countries, and one of the, now we can say, the fourth largest economy of the world. So yeah, other than the different dynamics of the recent India's relations, we can now also look into the different things, like how it can reset the relations between the India and Canada. As we know that in every groups in the world now, India is being an important part or important, we can say, not only of the important part, they are being an important active player. Okay, they are playing an active role in different dynamics. So now, as the discussion will proceed, we'll look into these things. So after that, Apurba, if you want to add something, we'll add later on.
Okay, okay. Thank you, Rahul, and thank you, Raja. Actually, both of you have rightly pointed out that uh, how G20, no, no, G7 is relevant or important for India's perspective. I mean, why not? For example, India is also a member of other grouping. For example, a full member. For example, SCO, BRICS, or G20. But India is not a full member of G7. Even though from 2016 or 17, this time 6 or 7 invitation from G7 countries. So when we ask these questions, that why India has been a regular invitee of this forum or of this grouping, so the answer is clear, because whether you accept it or not, I mean the audience or other people, that the economic heft that India has today, India's considering the geopolitical reality, because one and only country, because as I have already mentioned, that these are the 7 leading countries at point of time in terms of economy or geopolitical importance. But today, if we see that G7, I think G7 has only 10% of population, right? If I am not wrong. And on the other hand, for example, other grouping, for example, BRICS, you see BRICS, 45 to 50% populations. In terms of economy, yes, the picture is another, because in economic terms, G7 is still, you know, uh, upper hand on other groups, for example, BRICS or SCO. But here comes the PPP, I mean, power parity index, right? In that case, even the G7 is not a very significant in terms of PPP economics. So these are the reason that one and only country from the global south, because G7 wants to connect the global south also. But when they reach out to the global south, they find one or two country significant for militarily or economically or world populace. For example, China and India. But when it comes to the G7 value system, for example, liberal democratic order, for example, liberal democracy, in China doesn't have these values or these kind of norms. So India has. So that's why I want to say that India का होना बहुत जरूरी है to connect to the global south. And they also they also invited along with India other countries. They are also BRICS countries. For example, they invited, uh, I think if I am not wrong, Brazil, Saudi Arabia. Uh, Still, Saudi Arabia is not a BRICS country, but Saudi Arabia will join or may join in the coming times. So that's why India's economy, India's population, and huge market. It is not possible for G7 that avoid India. But another things, that why, even though the what Raja actually pointed out, that even though India and Canada, India and what is the content? India and Canada having some issues in their relations because of this extremist or extremism of Khalistani issues, or particularly the killing of Nichers in 2023 or 24. So from that time, the relationship, you see, it's not was not has not been good, right? And under Trudeau, I mean Justin Trudeau's prime ministership, So this relationship reduced into a very low level, and sometimes last year or this year, both country cut their diplomatic scope significantly. So considering all these issues, in our media or in Pakistani media, they also reporting that this time Modi will not invite it. So see how the India's geopolitical or kind of heft is reducing. But recently, when Mark, uh, what is the name of? I don't know. I just forget. The Prime Minister of Canada dialed Prime Minister Modi and invited for this summit. So people are surprised, but I don't think it is surprising. दे रहा है दुरुस्त है वो आने वाला ही था invitation to India. So because they can't afford a country which is the most largest and the fourth largest economy, or when they call India, so automatically their significance or their importance also gain as a grouping. So this is the reason. Just but now I would like to ask both of you that how do you know how do you see India Canada relation? For example, uh, the last year or the previous regimes under Justin Trudeau, the relation was not good, as we all know. But under this new prime minister, but the party is same, NDL or something name. The party is same, but the prime minister changed. Justin Trudeau to Mark Carney something name. So how do you see the future projects? Or just I have seen last just yesterday that there is a agreement, a kind of security agreement between they will share data and security related some crimes, India and Canada. So do you think India Canada relations will uh, get a significant turn through this uh, G7 summit, and Prime Minister Modi and Prime Minister Mark Carney, they hold a bilateral meeting, and things will sort out, and we see a very good relationship between them? Because within G7 they are also facing challenges externally, internally. If you see externally, internally, because of Trump's tariff war. So how do you see India Canada relations in the next 5 or 6 years, coming 6 years? Raja, I think Rahul is having some network issues, so you continue. Raja, please turn on your mic. You are mute.
Okay, something you are asking now, Apurva? What was the question?
Yes. Question was, how do you see India-Canada relations in the coming 5 or 6 years? Because you mentioned that last year or couple of years, India and Canada having some issues because of these Khalistani elements. But now things can be things will put under Prime Minister Modi and under Prime Minister Mark Carney, because even though people are suspecting that India will not be invited this time because of India-Canada relations is not good, but despite these all speculations, India now as a invitee of this grouping. So and Prime Minister Modi and Prime Minister Carney, they will hold a bilateral meeting. So can things will be better?
Yeah, as as you can, as we have seen that in the Canada, we have seen that there have been significant political changes have been happened in last years, in the last years. So that have significantly impacted the dynamics or the foreign policy of for Canada significantly, because whenever we talks about the like how a country will approach toward other countries, it also depends upon how the political dynamics of that particular country is going on. So as we have seen that in the last year there had political changes have been happened. Similarly, the neighboring countries, USA has also witnessed a significant political changes. So we can say that yeah, the India's relation with the Canada, we might see a change, might see a toward a political change. I think recently I have seen a news where Canada's political something commentator, or we can say podcaster, I forget the name exactly. Okay, he says that India's participation in the like G7 is not only about the like advancing the it's not only about advancing the geopolitical and the economic relation with other country. It also more than that. It it will provide a new realignment of the bilateral relation between the Canada and the India. Okay. And I think basically, as we have seen that in 2030, 23, when the political relation of India and the Canada have been impacted, the free trade agreement that have been supposed to be happen between India and the Canada have been halted. So if the we know that something is very tough to say like what kind of things will happen, but we can say that we can if the relation will will if we go in a nice way, uh, then it can progress toward the that is the progress toward the EPTA or free trade okay, early progress trade agreement that can be happen. Okay, that was supposed to be happen, or we know that Canada have been significant uh, in the play a significant role in the investment infrastructures and the mineral dynamics where that can help India. And other than this, and other than this, if the Canada's India's relation that can be happen, it can also help India's that is the India's strengthen India's Indo-Pacific strategy or India's strategic location. The growing maritime capabilities are crucial for not only for the India but also the G17's balance and the growing China's influence. So I can say that yeah, if the relation between India and Canada that have been maybe in hard situation now, if the situation go around, that can significantly help both countries. Okay, because it's the economy that matters in the global. May as the next summit is going to be held in the there, we can say the under own juncture. So I believe yeah, and significantly that we can say that the number of the we can say situation that have been happening that particularly saying like giving a direction of things that the relation can be like more nicer other than the, what have been halted between India and the China. I'll add something later on.
So, Rahul, can you hear me? Now your network is pretty much good, right? Hello, Rahul.
Can you hear me? Hello.
Yes, yes, I can hear you. So, see,
Okay,
uh,
tell me.
okay, okay, it is okay. You are now audible and visible also. So, it is hello.
Hello.
Hmm. Hello. Can you hear me?
There is a network issue. Just wait for a while.
No, 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 no. You are audible. You are audible, Rahul.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So just I want your views or insights on that. For example, India is an invitee of G7, right? So within G7, there are countries with whom India has very good relationship. For example, with USA, strategic partnership. For example, France, strategic partnership. For example, Germany, Japan, they are all strategic partners. So now the question is, who needs what more? For example, India needs G7 more or G7 need India more? For example, when we see G7, we find all the partners, all the strategic partners within G7, right? And when G7 see India, it is a leader of global South. It is India is now now having its very strategic locations. For example, when it comes to G7 countries outreach to the Indo-Pacific or even Indian Ocean. So from this point of view, how do you see how India perceived G7 and how G7 perceived India, or who needs more? India needs G7 more, or G7 needs India more? Rahul.
All right, all right. I got your point. Well, it's a very diplomatic questions you have asked me, right? Who needs more? Whether India needs a G7 or G7 needs India, right? My stand would be that yeah, both. Yes, 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 yes. What's your observation?
No, no, no. Okay, you continue.
All right.
I will
Okay,
add.
so all right. So from my perspective, yes, for G7, India needs more, and for India also needs G7's these collaborations as well as the cooperations, right? So from my side, the mutual aspects that from both the sides needs each other's national interest or objectives that matters are more in this present ever evolving uncertain this global politics. As we are evolving, or as we are right now a fourth largest economy of the world, and G7 all the members of G7 also have their own developed economy, right? So from this perspective, yes, India needs the collaboration of these countries because the exclusion of China is there, right? So one factor.
Just
Uh,
just
yes.
Rahul, I want to add once one thing that yes, we are the fourth largest economy, but we are still not developed. When it comes to per capita income, G7, all G7 countries, they are much more higher per capita income than India. So in this point, at this point, I think India needs to do more. India needs to collaborate with these countries to learn to know things, how things will go well. For example, when it comes to human development and other things, right? For example, industrialization and other things. Okay, continue.
Well, Apurva, what you have point highlighted, yes, based on the parameters, yes, you can, your point is also quite right. But your question was that who need more, right? For G7, for G7, India's these collaborations require more because one factor is that China. Because China is not a member of this G7, and for India, this G7 members needs more to explore more the economy of the India's own economy outreach, right? That is my this a macro level analysis, not a micro, which you were saying that internal one, right? Because yes, if I'll go with the parameters of this GDP and all, yes, India is more back than this G7. All this G7, not only G7s, many more countries who are even more forward than this India, right? So that is different aspects, but your question's specific answer is that India also meets the requirement of this G7, as well as G7 also needs the requirement or this collaborations of this India, because ideologically as well as from the other perspectives, the G7 countries have some sort of similarities with the democratic this outlook of India, right? So these are the points that I can give you. I wanted to highlight. This is my clear cut answer.
So just a I mean repeat repeat question like for example. So what do you think that should India ask for G7 full membership, or if G7 voluntarily offer their full membership, India will join, or should India ask for G7 membership? What do you think?
Why should India ask for G7 memberships? Right? India
You
should
mean
not.
you mean you mean G7 will offer us?
Hmm?
You mean
No,
G7 will
if
offer
you go
a
with
full
the
membership?
no, no, if you go with the history, or this formation of G7, G8 particularly of this 1970s, the beginning of this 1970s. That time India's economy was not that developed, right? By relating that situations with present conditions, then how India can ask for India can approach to the memberships. Rather, the development is already been shown that India is right now uh, developing at a very fast rate. Right, so it is their approach, right? They are inviting India as a guest or your observer. So there is a stipulations that in upcoming days they can offer the memberships to India. So India don't have to give their value or your with kind of this or their own gesture to their right because India have multiple these alignments, multiple partnerships. This G7 is not only one, so India should
Okay.
not go with this.
Okay. I have
So
something
you
to ask.
so
Here I have to
you
add
believe
something.
that in Raja, you will, but just I want another
Okay, continue,
opinion from
continue.
Rahul. So what do you think that if G7 will offer their full membership, India certainly join it, or India think about it?
Of course, India have to think about these things because India have other these alignments or your this there are multi-layer of this alignment or this regional institution organization.
Okay,
India is actually working. Actually, India have to think. India have to think and India have to take a decision very decisively.
I think before
so
that, one
what?
question should be raised.
Raja,
Okay. I think before that, one question should be raised that why India was being invited to the G17 from the last couple of decades. That question should be there. So, what do you think,
Hmm.
Apurva? What is your point here that why that G7 countries have been
so
like
in my
inviting India regularly?
in my past in my first opening remarks, I think I answered this question because of India's
Okay.
economic heft, geopolitical reality, and because when they uh, can add India or even China, because they will not include, or they will not invite China because of they it's not aligned. The value systems are not aligned with China of this G7 country. So with India, they feel that India is a natural partner when it comes to liberal democracy or constitutional setup. These are all same or aligned with G7. So that's why they invite India, and when they invite India, they invite world's fourth largest economy. They invite 1.5 billion people. They invite uh, what I'm trying to say. They invite market, huge market. So these are the reasons, and now why the intensity, or you can say why they are now very desperate to onboard India with G7, because of the geopolitical reality. You see, when they wants to outreach Indo-Pacific, so whom they will approach? It is India, because if you see today, I just saw the news that one F-35 landed in Trivandrum, right? And what this F-35 Royal Navy, UK Navy's F-35 is doing, they they are having a naval exercise with Indian Navy in Arabian Sea. So when these countries, for example, here the G7 countries, they wants to outreach Indian Ocean or the Indo-Pacific, they always come with India. They always approach to India. So that's why G7 wants more India than India wants G7, in my opinion. But the floor is open for Raja. What do you think?
Okay, I think you have said
I saw that.
rightly that yeah, whenever the relation of India and the China, like India is something that have been seeing that us they cannot go toward the China, so that are going for India. What do you say? No, I think uh, they have been like we can say India's importance to G17 is that yeah, as you have said rightly, the geopolitical realignments, the economic things and all. The thing is that the European countries, the G7 members, that is the UK, France, and all Germany, they have seen a potential. We can say they have seen the potential partners of India, or like being India to India, because India and these countries have synergies in the different geopolitical and economic rea- dynamics. So I believe that whenever we talk about which whether G7 is important to India or India is important to G70, like which need more, the foreign policy like to like it's something like we cannot say like which one is important, but it's very tough to say. But yeah, it is something like both needed to each other because it is a development. Ultimately, when if India will join to the G70, it will ultimately not only increase it. It not only show that India has a global influence, but it also shows that India have been how India have been developing, how India have been increasing other than the influence. They have been developing in the different dynamics, economic, geopoliticals. Okay, in the last couple of decades, India's prime minister have been visited and last time I think Italy and all to regarding these things. So whenever we talks about these things, I believe yeah, like mm, that is yeah, like I think both groups, whether the India or G7, both needed to each other in a path of a global complicities and trade relations that need a both to each other to the survival or the development. So
Additionally, I want to add on Radha's this argument, right? Because yes,
mm,
both side need each other. Not only this G7 needs India, or India needs G7. Because yes, if you go with this India's this apparatus structure in other aspects, uh, range apart from this economy, then yes, India have to make alive with this G7 nations, whether it is your technological collaborations with France or your with US or your defense structure, right? So this is just the economy which is playing a very base role, right? So we need each other as far as this global politics are concerned. That is my also stand that both sides need each other. Yes,
Again,
continue.
slightly different point of view. Both sides need each other, but not equally. Again, I just want to say why. Why G7 needs India more than India needs G7. The point is, look, it's been from COVID-19 or now because of Trump tariff wars, right? Just to make my point proof, right? So it's been from COVID-19. Every country, for example, the developed country or the Western countries or European countries, they want China plus one policy. I mean, they want to diversify their economy. They want to diversify their imports, their supply chain. And when they want to diversify, whom they look? They look to India. They look India as a very trustable, very viable option to
That is also the
set up
common.
their.
I think I believe that is the common objective or interest of both the sides. India also have the same aspects or objectives.
What
Uh,
kind of same objectives
China
or what
factor, right? China factor, the security threat, the economy rising, right? So this is not only the concern of G7, but this is also the concern for India, right? So
no
yes,
no let me finish. When they look India as a market or as a, they just try to diversify their supply. They want manufacturing China plus one, that is India, because after China, only India where cheap labor is available, and they also can export. For example, what Canada export to India? Their paper, their minerals, and what India export? Pharmaceuticals and some machinery or medical equipments, right? So when they see a diversify a market or a manufacturing hub other than China, they see India because uh, neither the cheap labor is available in Europe, neither the manpower. And India is only the country where they find affordable labor, where they find youth population, a working population. So that's why they needs India more than India. Because look, today, just tell me one country who has a membership in Quad, in BRICS, in G20, SCO, than in invitee of G7. It is India. So they know how much India is important. But yes, I don't want to, you know, uh, comment, or I don't want to say that no, G7 has nothing or G7 do not have any kind of relevance. Yes, they are. But who needs more? It is India. It is a G7 who needs India more than India. That is my point. Okay, you may argue or you may go to next another point.
So thank you, Apurva, for your insights, valuable insights, because we have to look from this perspective also. Not always we have to play a very diplomatic stand, but we have to take sometimes a bold this stand. Anyway,
I am just telling these things from the platform name, that is Decoding Realpolitik, in a realpolitik sense.
mhm. No, all right. So another aspect that how do you see this India as a playing a key role to bridge this divide between global South and North? I want to know your insights over it.
How do I see the connects or breach or divides?
No, no, no. How do you see India's role as as a key player as a key player to bridge the divide between global South and North?
Mm, okay. Look, yes, India can play a very important role to connect north and south, or to reduce some divides between north and south. Uh, because the term global south, what I believe that this term was actually popularized by India before India hold its G20 presidency in 2023. It is it is only one country, India, who hold a meeting before the G20 summit with leaders of Global South. And when I say, or when India say Global South, so it counts the whole countries, even the countries those who are belong from the north. It is not the geographical that okay, this is the line and this is the southern country and these are the northern country. No, it is the country those who have very first, they have very low economy, or a developing economy, or a least developed country. So in that point of view, yes, I say India is somehow try to cut or try to reduce these divisions through its role as a economic powerhouse, or as a through its for example digital economic perspective. You see, India's UPI, or the payment method, now India is try to export or try to contribute this kind of digital infrastructure to this uh, to the developing countries, or in the global south. For example, in Africa, or in South Asia per se. So what India is doing to try to develop such kind of digital public infrastructure in these countries also. For example, in COVID-19, you see India is developing a fantastic app that is called OWIN. I think from where we all download our vaccine certificate. So this digital public infrastructure is going to play a very important role to reduce or to cut the divide between India and no the global south and global north. So there is no terminology like global north, but there is a terminology global south. And when it calls global south, it is the least developed countries, the countries those who are somehow colonized by the north, or somehow their economy is not going well since long. And for this, the G7, where our title of our topic today is bridging north and south. Yes, when G7 invite India as a guest or observer to G7, so it also can be seen from the lens that they are calling the leader of global south, so that India can convey the message of global south, that these are the problem in global south. So how we are handling, or how we are addressing, so India can share these things with these G7 countries. And you see 2015 or when the sustainable development goal comes, there is a concept called common but different. What is the, Rahul? Can you recall common but differential responsibility, right? CDER. So why it is? Because the common but differentiate. What it means? Look, you, the northern countries, you did already so much industrialization and global warming, and the south or the global south countries is now working on that. So how can you imagine, or how can you ask these countries to equally responsible or equally do something for the global warming or the climate change? So this is how I think India is rising its voice, or India is rising rising the voice of global south, including itself, including for India also. So this is my I should stop here. This is my point.
All
I
right.
think
Just wanted to highlight few observations from your insights. Like you have said that India is one of the the India is becoming the leader of the global south, right? And where China stands, since if we'll go, or there are these speculations from many eminent scholars that China also comes under this under the umbrella of global south, because the global south, because this west look, China is also under the developing countries, right? Developing, among the developing countries. So can you consider that India is only the one who is influencing the entire this global south, although global south term itself is a very vague, right? So we generally speculate that it's a developing, it's a unity, or the organizations, or your, what you can say, the unity of this developing, least developed or your developing countries. But there are many countries from this Africa also, whose economy is very rapidly developing, uh, comparing to many Western countries. Leave it that, but where you see this China.
Before I come, I would like to you know on board Raja. Raja, you please make some insights
I
here. Then
can.
I come.
But you have to like the Rahul has said that the both India and the China have been the member of, or we can say the part of the global South. But Rahul, look, Rahul, if we see the world politics, the world politics is not like differently. No? It depend upon the perspective, like how they have seen, how they see the world politics. The G7 members do not look to China as a member or a part of their policy and synergy, because they have different kind of a way of looking the world. So, so yeah, in geographically they are the part of a global south, but from the perspective of the members group, the India is reflecting, India is playing an important role in the global south. They have been active player in the Indo-Pacific region, basically in the Indian Ocean, more importantly. So in these things, yeah, India is more represented global south from the perspective of these member countries, and also the growing democratic countries who are like more interested toward the international law and order. If we look at the China, the biggest problem with the China remains the complexities and the fragility of their policies. Okay, if you see their policies, they that remain the vague. Okay, that have been always been impacted. That other than this, I think I should add one thing. They are the growing ambition. Okay, the ambition that they want to be a great power in the coming years, and they may achieve that. But something is that whenever they have chosen the way is very vague. That is not clear. I think China should work toward that way if they want to be like engaged with other countries. But yeah, it is not that other countries are not being partnership with the China and all. They are being partnership with the different like economic relations. But I believe, despite the G7 doing an important role, China's roles in the different countries is also very important. Okay, so you cannot like neglect totally, because China is also a growing economy. That is what I point. I will add something. So please add Apurba something.
Okay, so I agree with Raja. So why China is not been considered or been seen as a leader of global south? Why India? And why India claim it as a global leader of global south? Because there is also a leading player, China. Because Raja rightly pointed out that see the policies in Africa or even in the Indian Ocean. So the complexities and the weakness in policies and the way China treat these countries. So this is not acceptable from these countries, even though these are not, explicitly been available in domain or can seen. But in my last session, I think I just give you one point or one example that in 2016 I already mentioned this case. Just for the sake of this argument, I just want to put this example again. 2016, uh, the maritime dispute between China and Philippines and the maritime dispute between India and Bangladesh, right? And the judgment came out from Court of Arbitration from the Hague that uh, in this judgment, Bangladesh owned the case, and India leave or India consider the case and accept the judgment. But China did not accept this judgment, and still this portion or this maritime dispute remain between China and Philippines. And from other point of view, when you see the Hambantota port, the case of Hambantota port, and in Solomon Island, what happening in Solomon Island? What kind of agreements China having with Solomon Island? No one knows. So from this point of view, the way China perceive these countries, the way China treating these countries, the way China having treaties with these countries, it's not clear. There may be so much complexity. So that's why people are not, the countries of global south are not seeing China as a viable leader to represent global south. And for that matter, forget this, how these G7 countries or European countries can believe China or can see or consider China as a leader of global south. So ये तो वही बात हो गया ना कि चोर के हाथों में ही तुमने वो चाबी पकड़ा दिया, right? So this is why I think, because India is a democracy and a vibrant democracy, the things what are the agreements and the policies what India is taking is very clear, very visible, not vague. So that's why, and India also show a genuine concern for these countries. For that matter, I just want to give you one example. You heard the IMD department, right? Indian Meteorological Department. So what this department do? These department actually doing or actually forecasting the weather or the calamities, natural calamities or natural disasters. This department monitoring the calamities or natural disasters and inform all the countries, all the South Asian countries, from I think from Middle East to the Myanmar or the Southeast Asian countries. So India is doing this kind of benign role. So that's why I believe India is a very good position, or India should be considered the leader of global south, not China. Thank you, Rahul.
Thank you for your both of you for your good insights. But what I have found that while going with this, while analyzing this approachment from this G7 to India being this observer status, that I have found that the one factor to give India as an observer state was that China's this enforcement policies in itself in this global south. Even if you go with the report of this wait, if you go with the report of this Atlantic Council, then
It seems Rahul is having again the network problem, huh, Raja?
Yeah, it seems.
can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Yes,
Yeah, you're
yes,
now
yes.
audible.
Now, my point is that yes, since China himself claiming, China herself claiming itself as a leader of the global South, and because of this growing encroachment policies of China in this global South, one factor is this, that this G7 this G7 actually approach India to be the observer to take the observer status. Secondly, ideology and all this, there are similarities, of course. And if you go with the investment of India and China in this global South, then yes, of course, you'll get the China is actually playing a very dominant role as far as investment are
Yes,
concerned. By taking reference of this Dharmendra Kumar, this thesis. Anyway, this is the different perspective, but as you have said that I'll agree with this few points. Like India's investment is less, but these global South countries have a very good trust over
no,
this
no,
India,
Rahul.
reliable
India's
and
investment is
genuinity.
low. Yes, but that's why
Genuinity is not.
India partnering with other countries. For example, with Japan, India having its India India Japan growth corridor. If I am not wrong, right, Raja?
No,
There is
just
a
let me complete.
there is a
Okay.
Yes.
uh,
So
continue.
the genuinity, trustworthy, reliability, genuinity, trustworthy, reliability. This all global South countries have found in India comparing to your China. That is, even if you go with this, the article of this Professor Swaran Singh from JNU, he has also highlighted these things. Right. So these are the aspects which actually, if you analyze, then you'll come to the point that here there is not only a one leader or one country who is leading this global south, but yes, similarly, beside of this India, China is also playing a role, right? So we can't ignore the China factor as far as this global south are concerned, or you're the factor behind this giving this observer status to India in G7. This would be the one factor from my
Okay.
side. That is only my this observations or your analysis, not this arguing point or something like that. That I have found after analyzing that, I have found that is only
Okay.
my.
I want to just a small add up here that like whenever we see that G7 and India and China, we have to understand also that like India is not an option other than the China. Okay, they are not having. I'm just adding here. Just want to clarify some of the doubts if that can come up to the minds of the viewers. I just want to say that India being a country, China being a country, both wanted to become a great power or want to be a growing power. Okay, so being this, India's presence in the G17 basically reflect that the global powers also support the India's rise. Okay,
Mm,
and where is the
that's
India's China's rise? They were that is simply the policies and the complexities and the vague policies. That is the only the barrier that have been other than the border countries and all that are always been there. But I believe that India is one of the countries that is not only the optional, that is India is being a itself a important player. I just wanted to add here, nothing else.
Yes, yes, Raja.
So people,
Yes, true, true. It's true. India is not an option. India is right. What you said, that the European countries or the G7 countries, they do not look India or China as an option, because China is
mhm.
not aligned with the democratic value system. That's why they find India is more better to align with or to partnering with, right? And when it comes to China, they find China is not aligned with the the so-called, what they said, that liberal democratic order, or rule based order per se. So this is why they prefer India and they support India's rise. Or yes, just before couple of days, you know since yesterday or a couple of days ago, I heard or I listened Jeffrey Sachs one questions. There is a question asked by a gentleman to Jeffrey Sachs that why USA and European countries they are try to weaken Russia, not India. तो उन्होंने क्या बोला था पता है कि yes, US and European countries will also try to weaken India when इंडिया का टाइम आएगा, जब इंडिया बढ़ेगा. तो वी डू नॉट हैव टू लिव इन ए डिल्यूशन कि इंडिया को कभी ये नहीं करेगा. दिस इज ऑल रियल पॉलिटिक, राइट? So okay, coming from these things, just we try to conclude. Just last one remarks from me also, that when India partnering or India having alignment, or not say alignment, or partnership with European countries or the West per se, through bilateral, through trilateral, or through groupings. So do you think this partnership or this kind of realignment or friendship will impact India's relationship with its traditional partner Russia? Because Russia do not want to India to fall the narrative of US or Europe, right? So when Russia finds India in Quad, Russia objects. When Russia find India in G7, Russia also objects. So how do you see that when India is partnering, or India is a kind of alignment with West, even though our foreign minister time and again said that India is not anti-West. India is non-West, because India not belong to West, right? India is not anti-West. India is non-West. But फिर भी Russia time and again, see these kind of alignment, realignment in a suspicious look. So how do you see this scenario or this geopolitical reality? How do you analyze?
Okay, I'll just add a brief line here. That yeah, the India's. Am I audible? Okay. Yes, I want to say that yeah, a small letter here. That yeah, if we see the India's like India and Russia's relations that have been remain a very important, because that have been went through a number of the changes that have been happened in number of the ways. Okay. So, but if we see the history things, we have seen that India's relation with these groupings is not only always that is something that reflect India's anti-Russia policy and all. Because one thing is that India always shows the source. India has regularly shows that if we see the things that India have said that Europe have to understand that Europe's problems are the not India's problems. Okay. So in this dynamic, this is simple terminology that have been used by the H. Shankar that reflect a different dynamic, that different wider meaning. Okay. It means that India is being a partners of these groupings. It not only so that India being a partners to them. Okay, India has been a terminology that has been used by some. I think I was reading on some article, a conjectural alliance. It means a issue-based alliance or a specific issues. So yeah, Russia was always been there to objectify or object that India should not go to a Western alliance, but India had continuously tried to maintain its relations with Russia that India will never go to a alliance. That basically reflect that India and Russia's relation will continue to be in a strong way. I think Rahul having some network issue or what?
Can you hear me now?
Oh,
Hello.
Rahul come.
Yes, Rahul, yes.
All right.
So what's your point, or what's your take on that issue
About Russia, right?
about Russia? Whenever Russia find India is somehow realigned with West, so Russia see it as a suspicious.
I just wanted to extend my this earlier statement that India have to deal very carefully or in a very pragmatic way, because G7 is not only the platform from where India can boost or multi alignment begin. Apart from this, these organizations or these groupings like your RIC or your BRICS, right? So they are also India having a big this stake. So my point is that India have to deal in a very practical way to deal with these two different ideological blocks. I would prefer to say. So there is this ideological differences that only at the conclusion comes. So that India is doing very diplomatically, whether it is your Ukraine-Russia war or your this Hamas-Israel, where we have already been seeing that the India's stand neither to side any of the bloc. That is actually the policy of India since the independence. Is if you go with this NAM, that to take the path of neutrality, right? So yes, we can't deny Russia also, right? And if Russia is objecting India, then that is Russia's problem, right? But not at the top level. But this objecting things also get sorted out at the very in a very short time of period. So we don't have to be afraid about these things, because Russia knows that India is a trustworthy partner, and India is already the member of other regional organizations. So we don't have to worry for these things.
So India is not afraid. Just India try to make in a comfort zone. Also Russia. India is not afraid, but India don't try to don't try to anger Russia. But yes, I want to say in real
Look,
politics.
I just
So
wanted to ask you one question, that from where you have got the statement that Russia having some sort of objections as far as this India is accepting this status of observer of this G7, or you in order per se. You will not get the
I
this
am
statement from this top officials from the Russia. It is only the media or the some lower officials persons spokespersons. They used to speculate these
no, no,
things.
no, no. No, no, you will find the observation from the official level. When India joins Quad, Russia objects it. If
That is
you if
different
you if
perspective. That is different aspect. Squad
this
and
is this is
so no, I have not found
this
yet
is
that that Russia's objective as India been accepted as the observer status of G7. Because
so
India is
don't
also
you
simultaneously the part of RIC
don't
and BRICS.
you so don't you think the same group once Russia was a part of it and now inviting India and Russia is love it? You think it's a
Look,
general sense.
yes, this is a geopolitics or
Look,
your
look. Forget it,
politics.
forget it. But
Yes,
I
yes,
have a
yes.
I have a I have a different point. That is, look,
Just give me.
if Russia have some issue when we are partnering or we are realigning with the West or the Quad in the G7, but we have also issues now. When Russia and China they are all weather friend and other things, and when Russia supply its S-400 before India, China purchase S-400. So yes, you know depending or considering its own interest, India and Russia, they also doing their own job. And yes, there is always a issue, because even Russia, even country like Russia also supply some equipments, I believe, to Pakistan also, because it
Don't
serves
you
its
think?
interest.
Okay, don't you think that Russia also used to portray China as a threat? Because if you go with the news of this Al Jazeera, then you'll get these insights that China is also the threat for Russia, right? So
Right
it's
now
all about
I
the.
don't think. Right now I don't think.
Like I think you need to go and check, because I have seen 3 4 days ago on the Wayne Russia is this official spokespersons only they were saying, even that was even highlighted in this Al Jazeera news. So yes, I can say that this international politics is all about the interest, of each nation, right? India is actually accepting this the invitations of observer states of this G7, but at the same time, India is also the member of BRICS and RIC, right? So yes,
Mhm.
we have to. This international politics is all about a zigzag theory. So we have to deal, or we have to based on this
RIC, is there any RIC meeting last couple of years?
Russia, India, China.
Is there anything meeting? Any meeting?
Mm,
RIC meeting? Sideline of BRICS from the last couple of years? For example, from 2017 or 2014? No. Yes, this is RIC, RIC, and there is another Troika along with
mm,
RIC. I
mm,
forget this name, but these are not now active. It has been now under the carpet, right? Like RIC or other things because of India-China tension or other border issues. So okay, so I think we should conclude today.
mm.
We have received two questions, Rahul. Okay, so one is from I think Rajdeep Sarkar. Sir, okay, Raja, Rahul, would you like to react on this? No, you should react. Not
Okay,
only
the
you like
question
to.
is that very recent thing. So okay, it's very like what can say very interesting question by our respected sir. Very honored to be like a question as well as sir. India tries to maintain ties with both Israel and Iran. What should be India's position on the Iran-Israel conflict? You know, okay, as I am not at that kind of a deep understanding of these things, but whatever I know from my whatever I have my knowledge on this topic, this thing conflict, I think the India having a like a historical and a cultural relation with the both countries. Okay, that not only the historical culture but also the geostrategic relation with both the Iran and the Israel, and being in such a situation that not only these things, India also shares like more than the $5 billion trade relation with both these countries cumulative in cumulative terms. What say that India's position will, I think, remain like a neutral stance, even because I think two days back in the 13, India's Ministry of External Affairs had like given a statement that India favors for the de-escalation and India asked for a de-escalation, and India says that the both countries should choose the way of dialogue and that is diplomatic way to solve this issue. Yeah, but India's neutral stance is also have been that whenever a country choose a neutral stance, it always challenge impact the India's relation. But India is trying to maintain that, like, may try to avoid that kind of a challenge or trying to keep itself from the being a problematic in nature. Just for example, recently the China lead group in the SCO, okay, Shanghai Cooperations, they try to like bring a resolution regarding condemning this Israel's attack on the Iran. So India just try to avoid. India just have try to keep itself from this resolution, this meeting. So this way, this India is trying to maintaining this.
Yes,
Rahul,
even yes, I will agree with Radha's statement. India must have to take the very this neutral stand over this Iran conflict, because Iran also need India, and this Israel also needs India, and even Iran with Iran, yes, India having ties, and Israel also. From this defense perspective, India used to import many these technological equipment. So right. So during this, are you while taking the stance on this both Israel and this Iran war, then India have to deal very diplomatically to not to take any stance. Let them to solve their issues bilaterally, like a non-interference. But your suggestions or your can play the role of this as a good uh, mediator or your suggestions to sort it out the war, right?
We will think about it. Actually, sir is actually suggesting us to keep this on in mind when going forward. Right? Yes, sir. We will. You see the you are
Surely,
visible, Raja
we'll
and
keep
now.
doing it.
Yes, yes, yes. We are able to see that.
We will think about it, sir. So there is another question: how domestic policies impact international relations? In the case of India-Canada relations, you know the India-Canada relations. Reason being the bad relations between India and Canada a couple of years or last year. So the reason being was domestic policies, because Trudeau wants vote from these extremist elements from NDL party, and that's why Trudeau is because time and again he said that we have a credible information, we have a credible allegations, but when it comes to allegations to uh, present, there is nothing. So what do you think? Domestic policies sometimes impact the international relations or the foreign relations. We see in Maldives, we see in South Asia, for example, Persit, Nepal, Bangladesh. So these all the relations India having with these South Asian countries, the result of this domestic politics. Because what we read that foreign policy, what is foreign policy? Foreign policy is the extension of domestic policy. So I certainly believe that the domestic policies, yes, it is impact the foreign relations, foreign policies with any countries. So what we have seen in last 1 or 2 years with Canada. So what Rahul, how do you think this? What is your insight on this domestic politics, and both are going where?
Hello. Am I audible? Hello.
Hello, you are audible, Rahul.
All right, all right. No, actually, my network is fluctuating. No, whatever you have said,
So
yes, this is.
on this
Yes,
question.
yes, yes. No, no, no. Yes, whatever you have said, that is absolutely correct, because it's the domestic politics which this impact to this international relations. Someone can go with this neoclassical realism of Zakaria to get a very clear picture about all these things, right? And you have already given the examples of Nepal, or you these other countries like even you'll get these things in Bangladesh, also in Sri Lanka, also in even in entire South Asia. These domestic factors actually influencing international relations. By taking this as a stance in India-Canada relations, of course, yes, domestic policies or your this soft power per se do have the potential to impact on their international relations. So that is my point. Thank you.
So okay, today we are going to conclude, Rahul. I think we should stop here, right?
Yes.
So, okay, viewers and audience, those who are watching right now at 10:30, right? So, I would like to thank and extend my gratitude to all the viewers and our audience for their participation and questions. And I would particularly thank and my warm greetings to Rajdeep sir for your question and your suggestions, sir. We will keep in mind this, and we will come up with this topic also in our future sessions. So thank you once again, all. Please stay tuned for more exciting sessions. We look forward to seeing you in the next Sunday. Until then, stay happy, stay safe, and Shubharatri, and good night. Good night, Rahul.
Good night. Good night.